And welcome back for another episode. So let's have a quick look at what's going on in our nation. Not much has happened between the episodes here, but we have gotten the income from our trade deals, and since we have a lot of them, we actually have enough cash right now that if we have a look at the total expenditure, we should be able to withstand pretty much the entire year and not go into next year. So of course, if we increase spending a lot, which we might actually do, we might be building a bit more ships. I'll probably do that between the clips here, so you won't be seeing that right now, I'm afraid. But anyway, we are getting a decent, or having a decent bit of money, which means that we will not be, don't have to worry about our economic production modifier going below 100% right now. Of course, it may happen again next year, because if we're not in negative numbers at the end of the year, then we'll get resources instead of money. But we'll see how it goes. Now, in terms of diplomatic updates, we have actually gotten a trade deal with the Ottoman Empire now, which means that the only ones that we're not trading with, of course, the neutrals, because, well, no one's allowed to trade with them anyway, and then Mughals, we have sent queries to them, but we have not gotten an answer yet about if they'd like to trade with us or not. Hopefully they will, because it's good for business, but if they don't, then they don't. But it's not too bad. We have assigned officers and planetary administrators to all the pertinent roles. We don't hire anyone on the academies right now, because I think we just need a lot of everything for the time being. We have set up a colony in Cape of Good Hope. It's going to be primarily a mining colony, and it will be producing a lot of wood, and a lot of rum, and a fair bit of bronze, which is going to be good for making land units around here. The primary role of that is a mining colony that will then support Cape Town itself. I mean, Cape Town does produce a fair bit of minerals, I suppose, but for example, wood is one of the lower numbers there, so if we can utilize that, because that, yeah, accessibility 1 on wood, which means pretty good income. So that should be complementing Cape Town rather nicely. We are currently bringing in all the survey fleets back to overhauls, wherever is the closest overhaul for them. And we are also moving around a little bit troops. We also set up a colony fleet that will be bringing in colonists from Amsterdam to Cape Town. Of course, it will not be extremely useful, because the travel time is 1,000 days right now, so it's a bit of a long trip, to put it mildly. But they'll bring in at least a little bit. Now, once we've established the colony, or claimed the colony in here in Cape Town, but it's not currently, it's going to need a little bit of infrastructure there, which we are currently building in Cape Town, and once we have some build, we'll start shipping that in, and then we'll start shipping some colonists from Cape Town to the new colony, and eventually we'll set up we'll get some mines in there as well, and then we'll start mining, and then ferrying all the resources back and forth. But I think that's about it for the start of this episode, so I will bring you back in just a few moments. We have completed research on the improved gunpowder storages, so now we are designing the new sails, which hopefully, or we know that they will increase our speed, plus our ration efficiency a little bit. We have managed to build a new research lab, and we shall be assigning that to the mast research, so that we can get our mast upgrades a little bit quicker. We have now completed 2 new researches, the mining efficiency as well as the sloop mast, so we have already redesigned our survey ship. So if we compare it to the previous one, the size is the same, but the speed is almost 300 kilometers per second, or about 1.5 knots faster than the old one. And also some tonnage was saved by the new gunpowder storages. So this has 39 billion kilometer range, whereas the old one has only 35, so the range is rather largely increased. Of course, the time that it takes to go through that is now much slower, or lower as well. Well, it's about half a month lower, so the deployment time is actually now a fair bit longer than the actual range. That should be alright. We'll probably start retooling some of our survey ships soon with these. We will of course need to first retool our shipyard, but that shouldn't take too long. No, actually, let me have a quick look at that. We might be able to build them right away. Yes, we can. Well, let's actually start building one of these then. So hopefully it We can probably start building one over here. No, we can't build one over there. What about Krakow? Nope. And that's, I think, all of our shipyards, so no. But we've started building one of them now, so that is going to be a huge increase in speed. We will, of course, be able to redesign our 6th race as well, because they do use the sloop masters as well. So let's actually do that right now, or rather I'll show you it in just a few moments. And there we have it. Compared to the old one, it's well over a knot faster, about 1.5 knots faster again, and it does have a little bit smaller maintenance life, about 4 or 5 months, but it's still well over 8 years, so it shouldn't really be an issue. It actually has a tiny bit smaller crew as well, so that should be useful. And the range is again increased by about 5 billion kilometers. We have completed a naval headquarters in Paramaribo, and we have started building some fishing fleets there as well as mining barges. We will also be setting up a new admin command, naval admin command, in there for any operations across the Atlantic. France has implemented a blockade of the cities on the western shores of Italy. We have joined forces with the British, and while the French claim that a British ship tried to break through the blockade at Rome, the British ambassador here in Amsterdam assures us that they had no ships in Mediterranean. We have declared war on both Spain and France, and we are about to send in 3 raiding fleets, 2 to North Atlantic and 1 to South Atlantic, to try to sink any enemy shipping. Our civilian mining colony in Caribbean has currently been fighting for about 2 weeks against the French mining colony there, so we'll be sending in a battalion of men to aid in that battle, and hopefully we can capture the mining colony for ourselves. We have managed to complete the research on bigger gun caliber, and well, first of all, we started researching the high-density uranium armor. Also, we have the capacity recharge rate 2 already underway, so that's going to allow us to reload our guns a little bit quicker. Of course, we do need to design the guns anew to be reloaded a little bit quicker, but it will be good in later on. And also, we've done some retooling for one of our shipyards, which was the Rotterdam, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the 7th race have been retooled. Of course, we can't actually build anything right there now, but we should be able to construct actually all of the 4 variants that we have right now. And since we haven't actually gone through them, I don't think, let's take a quick look at what the new ships are for us. So we got the 5th race, which is, again, actually a fair bit quicker than the previous model, or the previous design. Mostly that's about it. I mean, the range is a tiny bit higher, but not significantly. Then on the 6th rate, again, the speed is increasing by about 1.5 knots. But also the range is increasing by about 5 billion kilometers, which is going to be rather useful. Longer range, especially since the 6th rate is essentially very good for commerce raiding, because it does have a decent bit of armament. Of course, we haven't designed the new fire controls or anything like that, so we have still ways to improve this design, but we'll be starting building these soon enough. But the increased speed is very good for commerce raiding, and it should be rather useful in this war. And secondly, they don't cost all that much, so they will be quick to build. Then the research variant also gets about 1.5 knots extra speed, as well as about 5 billion kilometers once again extra range. And same goes for the other 7th rate, or the 7th rate escort. So both of these will now be able to go over 7 knots in speed. And we haven't actually redesigned any of the newer ones. We kind of want to wait for the better armor and such. And we haven't actually put any vertical fire controls or vertical gun controls on any of the ships yet. But we do have it designed now, so we could do that. We'll probably do it on the 4th rate or something like that. But so far we haven't built any. Also, another thing that we could do, so we haven't actually built any of these. Well, we don't actually own any of these, so we could start improving this. Do we have... No, we don't have the flagship engine quite yet. What we do have is gunpowder storage. We could actually replace that one. We need to be on the wide view, actually. Right, so get rid of that one and get a new one there. That's going to save us a fair bit of tonnage, and then we're going to put in the vertical gun controls. Unfortunately, we don't actually have any shipyards capable of building this large ships yet. We've been mostly focusing on the smaller ships. It's not quite buildable yet, but I'm sure that we can make this into a pretty good ship eventually. A battalion has now arrived in the mining colony, so the headquarters will stay at supporting position. Cavalry will do a charge on the enemy, while the howitzer battery is providing support for them. Light infantry and pike shot will keep defending posture at least for the little while here, while the remaining infantry from the colony is trying to defend as best as they can. But the morale is a bit low at this point because they've lost the majority of their units. They are basically out of supplies, which actually we could probably help with that a tiny bit. We could send in, say, 2 supply wagons from the main HQ there. That should help them a little bit. And now we hope for the best. The fight is continuing hard. So far we've taken a fair bit of losses, especially our cavalry has lost almost half their strength. At the same time, we do seem to be killing a bit more of them than they are killing of us, so there's probably not a huge amount of troops left there. Our battalion is running out of supplies, so we decided to set defensive posture instead, and hope that we can still win this. We have spotted an incoming enemy fleet. Unfortunately, the battle on the ground seems to be almost lost at this point. We do still have some troops there, but we had to combine a lot of forces. We're down to about half of the battalion left at this point. Of course, there's still a few units left from the original garrison there, but I doubt they will last long. However, we are trying to buy some time for the transport ship to actually get far enough so that the French do not spot them. And in the meanwhile, well, hopefully we'll be able to destroy the enemy ships coming towards the island. The sun is still up. The opposing fleets approaching each other at a rapid speed, neither side willing to step down. This battle would be fought today, and only one fleet would survive to tell the tale. Our 6 reds have taken a decent bit of damage already. No internal damage so far, but that will probably happen very soon. Meanwhile, the 3rd and the 2nd raids are still in perfect fighting condition. One of our 6 raids has been demasted. They destroyed both our masts. We have managed to sink one of the enemy ships. Unfortunately, both our 6 raids are now stranded in the water. The enemy has sunk one of our 6 raids and the second one is about to sink. However, the 2 ships of the line are still perfectly capable of keeping on fighting. Especially the 2nd raid has barely taken any damage. Only our ships of the line remain, but it would appear that the enemy is taking heavy damage as well. We have sunk another enemy ship. We shall start focusing our fire to sink them one at a time. And hopefully we can sink them before any of our ships get too much damage at this point. We have sunk another enemy ship, and so far they've been unable to get through our armor. The enemy has now managed to penetrate our armor. I think it's time for us to head back home. After sinking yet another one of their ships, the enemy has decided to turn around. The enemy has landed more troops on the island. We are about to lose. And that's the episode. So, let's have a quick look at what's going on. So, first of all, we are building a lot of ships, and we've also retooled some of the shipyards for our newer ship classes, which is going to be very good. I mean, these new ships are notably faster than the old ones, so that is going to be very good for business in terms of raiding the enemy commercial ships, as well as keeping the enemy battleships at bay. And if we have a look, so we're building 4 ships of the line, 3 frigates, 2 brigs, and sloop. It's actually exploration sloop over there. Then in Caribbean, we're building 1 frigate right now. We could start building some sloops there as well, of the newer variant actually, but they might not be all that useful. I mean, they have a nice speed, I suppose, but that's about it. Not much in terms of weaponry. And actually that is in Brazil. In Caribbean we are building 1 ship of the line, and we could start building some a frigate there and a brig. That should be actually something that we'll probably do. And in terms of productions, there's not much out of the ordinary. In Brazil, we're going to be building some orbital miners, which is going to be rather useful. And then we are building some research facilities in Amsterdam still, which is going to take a while, but it will be definitely good for our research. Speaking of which, have a quick look. So we've already managed to research all the sails by the looks of it. We're currently getting the capacity recharge rate 2, research rate 240, and fuel consumption 0.7. So that's going to be very good for the future engines. Of course, that is still going to take a while to be completed. It's maybe going to be completed at the end of next year or something like that. Probably not any sooner. Then in Paramaribo we are researching higher accuracy moving targets, and after that we'll improve our optics a little bit, which is going to give us a bit of an advantage, hopefully, to be able to spot the enemies a bit sooner. And then in Curacao we're researching the better armor, but that's going to take over a year still, so that's going to be there for a while, and not researching anything else elsewhere. And in terms of fleet movements, we still have our 3 raiding fleets in the Atlantic, 2 in the north and 1 in the south. They have not spotted anything yet, but they might do it. And then in Caribbean we managed to bring in the surviving ships back to Curacao from our mining colony, which unfortunately has been captured by the French now. But we do have fleets there. We'll probably start doing some joint operations with the British there sooner rather than later. And of course there's also the fact that the Spanish own Bruges. We might strike on that one and capture it for ourselves, because obviously it is rightful Dutch clay. In terms of surveying, we managed to survey all Caribbean and Brazil already. We have started surveying South Atlantic already, and we've surveyed Cape of Good Hope. Now, of course, there is still a lot of places to survey, but we've done a decent bit of surveying already, and Arctic Sea is almost completely surveyed as well. In terms of civilian shipping line, we only have 1, and it has only 2 colony ships and 1 freighter, so not necessarily very good. Now, in terms of civilian mining colonies, we currently have none, which is bad. I'm sure that we can get more in the future. Now, in terms of wealth, we did do a fair bit of deficit during this year, but we still have money. So what we'll probably do is we'll get our trade deal income in... Actually, no, it's gonna be food. So yeah, we'll get it as food. And although we did lose 2 trade deals during this year, so that's going to be a bit bad for business, but I'm sure that we can manage our economy for a little while still. Because the fact that we are building a lot of things is certainly costing us, including the shipbuilding and installation construction, as well as the maintenance supplies, I suppose. Those are the biggest expenditures for us. But our income is certainly large. I do believe it is actually the largest that any nation has right now, which doesn't surprise me. But that is about it for this year, so make sure to check out Mordred's channel, link is down below in the description, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode. Until then, bye bye.